Hello and welcome to LaGuardia Airport. There's New York City over there. The simulated date today is January 15, 2009. This is the Leonardo MD-82. My name is Father Time. Please don't forget to subscribe. We are on Leonardo flight, simulated flight 1549 from LaGuardia to Charlotte, runway 4 with a departure clearance of LaGuardia 2 departure, turn left heading 360, climb to 5,000. We acknowledge it, it's the FO's takeoff. Let's go inside. Parking brakes are off. All right, your aircraft. Roger, my aircraft. Bring it up to 1.4 Reaper here. Here's 1.4, auto throttle's on.
Takeoff thrust set. 80 knots, cross check.
Check. FO's flying.
V1, rotate.
Positive rate.
Positive rate.
You're up.
Gear up, lights out.
400 feet heading select 360, please. Roger. And LaGuardia departure, Leonardo 1549 is out of 700 for 5,000. Roger, radar contact. Here's 1,000, give me climb power, please.
Climb thrust set.
Flaps up.
Flap 0.
I'm going to let it accelerate here a little bit. All right. Slots retract.
Slats retracted.
Birds. All right, guys, it's right in here. There's the left engine failed. My aircraft, Sully took the aircraft, right engine failed. Give me emergency power, please. Reach up here, turn emergency power on, and start the APU. Your aircraft run the dual engine flame out, please. Roger. Mayday, mayday, mayday. This is Leonardo 1549, turning back towards LaGuardia. Dual engine flame out. Leonardo 1549, LaGuardia, would you like to come back to the airport? I don't think we're going to make it, sir. We may end up in the Hudson. And, all right, throttles idled, start selected, or both. It's both. One at a time. I maintain 250. We can't do that. One at a time. Throttles to idled and start. Idle to start. And the sim froze up on me. I'm going to stop the recording. And I'm going to try to bring us, it's happened 3 times, guys. I'm going to try to bring us back here and fail the engines in this position at about this parameter, 2,500 feet. And 180, see if we can't land in the Hudson. I'll be right back. Okay, so here we are. The emergency power is on, 180 knots, 2,600 feet. They offer him a left downwind to runway through and left. That's the George Washington Bridge here. He says unable. How about New Jersey? How about Teterboro? They said, yeah, we'll coordinate with Teterboro Tower, but he's not going to make it. So he said they can't get the engine started. Let's go flaps. He brings the flaps to 2. In our case, we'll go flaps 11. They come over the George Washington Bridge, about 210 knots. The APU is now started, so we've got some power on the generators, which they had to, but he was gliding on down, and didn't have much time to say anything. Remember, they're going to land just at above 50th Street. There's the George Washington Bridge. He's got flaps at 11.
1,000.
He sees the ships over here. He said, I think I'm going to try to land near those docks because those boats are there. That's what he said he was thinking. End up touching down 140 knots. Don't know if I can do as good a job as Sully. So there's the Empire State Building. 50th Street's right about in there. It's obviously we're going to touch down. He sees the boats, the ferry going across. You can see the airspeed's bleeding down. He's trying to stretch it out to make it to the ferries. He's got flaps 2.
5
Yep.
on too low. Gear. Too low. Gear.
He's getting all the terrain pull-ups, everything.
Too low. Gear. Too low. Gear. Too low. Gear. Too low. Gear. Too low. Gear.
He said the Airbus wouldn't let him flare.
Sink rate. Sink rate. Sink rate.
So he tried to slow the rate.
Pull up. Sink rate. Sink rate.
30 on 30, 20, 10.
And he did say brace before that. The flight attendant said that the stop was not too abrupt. They get in here. They started evacuation. He reached in and started his evacuation. And of course, the aircraft started to sink. They opened the doors. People went out on the wings. And that's what happened. Anyway, I think that is about as good as we can simulate it. If for some reason, guys, it failed 3 times in a row at that same spot, froze up, the sim froze up. So I decided I would just place this there, and here we are. Let's take a look outside. People are on the wing, as I'm going to do in the epilogue here. I'm going to show you how I set this up right after this. And there we are. All right, Father Time's out. Let's see how I set this up. On second thought, I'm going to play back the exterior landing. Only problem I had was I had closed out Microsoft Flight Simulator before I did this, so you're going to hear the engines running, which of course they're not on the playback. When it touches down, you can hear them kind of shut down, but it's because I reopened it and I didn't shut it down when I played back the flamed out landing. But I think that'd be fun, so let's do that. All right, we just did a little video on the reenactment of the Hudson, Miracle on the Hudson, using the MD-82, Leonardo MD-82. There we are, took the birds. This is from the outside, thought you guys might be interested. Sully took control of the airplane from Jeff Stiles. They were about 2,600. By the time they got the aircraft transferred over, APU started, emergency power on. Of course, the Airbus is a little different. They were up 3,000 feet. Sully said, give me the dual engine checklist. He declared Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. Told them that they had lost dual engine failure. Proceeding back to LaGuardia. He said, Roger, we'll try to get you runway 13. LaGuardia's back there. Sully decides he's not going to make it back to LaGuardia. They offer him 3-1 and then runway 4. And then he says, no, I'm going to probably end up in the Hudson. How about New Jersey, Teterboro? And they start coordinating with Teterboro, but it quickly becomes apparent to the crew as they're unable to get the engine started that they're going to have to put it down in the river. Sully does prepare the aircraft for race. They come over the George Washington Bridge at a few hundred feet. Sully said that he was starting to think they end up landing out here at the Empire State Building out here. And he starts to see some ferries as he comes over to GW here. He starts to see some ferries crossing up here, and he thinks he should put it down near them. He's going to try to stretch it out. So try slowing down. He originally was 180, then he went to 210, and now he's trying to hold it off the river, trying to get down as close as he can to those ferries, which are crossing right up in here. He goes, he's going to end up landing gear up, flaps 2, Super 80, that's about flaps 11. Getting all sorts of terrain warnings, pull up, descend, sink grade, pulls it off, holds it off, touches down right around 50th Street. Flight attendant said it was like a firm landing. Now the engine shut down. Of course, the engines were already off.
Couldn't find
Starts an
valid
evacuation.
airport data at this position.
Yeah,
Services are not
GSX
available.
doesn't like it. The aircraft, they open the aft door, and the aircraft starts to sink. It was kind of tipped up. The water starts coming in, so they're actually climbing over seats. There are 150 people on board, 6 crew members. They had a number of injuries, some serious, some hospitalization. Of course, the airplane eventually sank to the bottom of the river, but almost immediately the boats came over to do rescue. People started jumping off the wing. Some had life vests on, some didn't. Some went out the door, some climbed over the seats to get to the door to get out of the water. Sully went through the aircraft twice to see if anyone was left behind, as his procedure prior to evacuation. He told the boats to take the people off the wings first, as there were people sitting on the rafts that had come off the doors. Some people were in the water. People got out of the water, and miraculously, and this is why it's the miracle on the Hudson, there was no loss of life. The aircraft was subsequently did sink. Just the tail was showing. The left wing did separate from the aircraft. It was towed down the river 4 miles and then taken by barge for the accident investigation. And ultimately, the aircraft ended up in, I guess it's Charlotte, in a museum. And that is the reenactment of the miracle on the Hudson. The video that goes along with it is already posted on YouTube. It's Father Time out. Thanks a lot. Hey guys, Father Time. So this is what we just did. This is what I did ahead of time. So I'm actually making this first. I'll stick it at the end of the video. This is obviously a reenactment to the best of my ability for US Air Flight 1549 on January 15, 2009 with Sully at the controls and Jeff Stiles as the FO that landed in the Hudson River. This is a chart Jepson put out, tongue-in-cheek. I think they celebrated the 10-year anniversary of this. It's only fun to put out because everyone survived and the flight crew did such a wonderful job. But this is called the Hudson Miracle Approach. They were on the runway, clear for takeoff, 360 heading as we talked about, 5,000 feet on LaGuardia 2. 700 feet, they called out a 7 for 5,000. They had radar contact. At 2,600 feet, left engine failed shortly by the right. And right before that, they commented how they could beautiful view of the Hudson. Sully, Jeff Stiles was flying. Sully said birds. And shortly thereafter, both engines flamed out at about 2,600. They got up to 3,000 as Sully said, my aircraft, because Jeff Stiles only had about 30-something hours on the airplane. And he said, yeah, we have dual engine flame out checklist. Start running that, which is whatever the Airbus was, because this is an MD-82. They were cleared back. Sully declared a Mayday while Stiles ran the checklist trying to get those engines restarted. The AP was starting up. Sully started to turn back towards LaGuardia, declaring a Mayday. They cleared them. They said, we'll try to get you runway 13. And Sully said, yeah, we may be in the Hudson. So somewhere in there they said, yeah, we're not sure we're going to make it. They said, well, Roger, you know, how about we can get you a left base for left downwind for runway 31 or something. So that they didn't even answer it. So then they said, hey, could you make to runway 4? And you know, by now they were pretty much committed. Sully said negative. How about New Jersey, like Teterboro? They said, yeah, that's actually right. So they got with Teterboro, approach got with Teterboro, departure got with Teterboro Tower. So we got an aircraft coming in, dual engine flame out. But by now, Sully said, now we're going to end up in the Hudson. They came up over the George Washington Bridge and glided initially, I think, at 180 and 210 and touched down around 140 with flaps 2, which would be the flaps 11 on this thing, I think. And did a great job and evacuated the aircraft in the river. I hope this worked out. If you take a look at this kind of approach plate, these are the flight attendants: Doreen, Sheila, Jeffrey, Goose. Oh, that's the Goose. That's where they hit the Goose. Sorry, there's no flight attendant Goose. It's Donna down here. My wife's name, Donna. It's where they think. What are they going to do? Right. Sully. It's a Sullenberger arrival over here. George Washington Bridge. They focus. They start scrambling the boats. Starts scrambling the boats out to rescue them. They touch down just north of the Empire State Building. I think 50th Street or so. And of course, the rest is history. Here's the rescue, other heroes, and Sully directed an evacuation, went through the aircraft twice, ended up with 150 people on board, 6 crew members, a bunch of many serious injuries and minor injuries. Some people ended up in the river, some people ended up on the wing, some people ended up on the slide, some people didn't stand on the wing. Sully just had them evacuate off the wing first, and then the raft second. As the boats came, some people dove in and swam to the boats. Some had life vests on, some didn't. The aircraft started filling with water as they were evacuating, but they did get everyone off. Obviously, airplane sunk to the bottom. Now it's in some museum down in Charlotte. They floated it down the river. Left wing came off, and they recovered it all, brought it down to Charlotte. I'm talking out of school. That's what I remember. I did fly with the Union rep. You'll find this interesting, for U.S. Air. That was featured in the movie when he brought Sully his uniform in the hotel. That was him. There was an actor that was playing him, but he said, you know, what a fantastic job. He said Tom Hanks worked with Sully for the whole movie and refused to deviate from what Sully said. They tried to do some more dramatic stuff in there, and Tom Hanks stood. He goes, no, it's whatever Sully says. So it's pretty darn accurate, evidently. They were exonerated. They said that if they turned back initially right towards LaGuardia, they probably could have landed on runway 22. But they had the time to react. They had to try to get the engine started, transfer aircraft control. By the time they did that in the simulator, they were not able to make it back. The ones who did it initially and made it back in the simulator started to turn immediately. Some of them made it, but they had the startle factor, transfer of air control, start the APU, try to get them started, start and turning. What are we going to do? Can we make LaGuardia? Making those decisions. How about New Jersey? No, end up in the river. None of the simulator people could make that work. So they all would have ended up in the river, which of course makes Sully a hero. Anyway, that's an approach plate worth looking at. It's kind of cool. So the way I set up that little demonstration that you just saw, came in, and I'm going to use FSI Panel for the engine failure. I'm going to go to McDonnell Douglas, put in LaGuardia, runway 4, here, weight and balance. I'm just going to put in the fuel right now is at fuel is 19.7. I need 20.6, so maybe I just bump that up a little bit. Shouldn't be anything in the center, right? I don't know, somewhere in there. Anyway, right about in there. Center should be empty. Close enough. Close enough. And 20.6. We can set it up with the aircraft also, but on the runway, sometimes it's hard to get that thing to, on the MadDog, the fuel to update it. So I was trying to set it up using this. I did this once, guys. It went kind of cool. It was going well. I tried to do the narrative like I was just explaining to you. And the sim froze up, which has been happening with my sim. And this should be pounds. 20.2, that's good. Weather. I'm not going to put the date in because it won't let me update the fuel if I do that. So I'm going to leave it at 11 a.m. January 26th. But of course, this was January 15th, 2009. For the weather, I'm going to do custom. And we're going to do scattered. It was scattered at 4,000 feet. Scattered clouds. And I'm just showing you this so maybe you want to do it. 4,000. It was originally 3,800 broken, and then it changed to 4,000. Wind, altitude, top, bottom, looks good. That all looks good. We'll close it out. Then I came in here. I had to put myself on the engines running. Yeah, I'm wondering if maybe I won't get the engine failure if I start at the gate and taxi out, but we're going to try that. I tried putting into the EFB into flight mode, and that didn't work. I just want to show you how I set this up. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe and like. I'm going on blind faith here that it worked out. Yeah, their final flight plan was LaGuardia 2 departure, 360 heading, maintained 5,000 feet. After 700 feet, they checked in. 2,600, Sully said birds, and the 2 engines flamed out. He took the control of the aircraft, declared a mayday, had Stiles run the 2-engine checklist. Sully started the APU, got some instruments back for the landing. Mine, I started the APU last time, and it just froze up. So let's hope that this worked out and that we go. So I'm going to start ready to fly here on the runway. I'm going to put in GSX and walk to the end of the runway. I'm going to start FSiPanel, FSI Panel 2020 for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Fully supports the MadDog. Just showing you how I set it up. Okay, FSI Panel, failures. Runway 4 at LaGuardia, and those were in a MadDog 82. Failures, engine. I'm not going to do flame out because they restarted when I did that. So I'm going to go left engine failure. I'm going to do altitude, AGL. I'm just going to go 2,600 on the first one. Okay. Arm it now. And failures, left engine failed, 2,600. And the second one, right engine. I'm going to go altitude. Kind of cool, huh? 2,700. Lordy, lordy. Hope that works. 2,700. Arm it. So I've got the left engine fail at 2,600, right at 2,700. Let's go to the runway. Then I came in, set up the box, and off we went. So I hope you enjoyed that. That was the reenactment of the Sully transmissions. It's to the best that I could. Transmissions and the flight path. I didn't do it as well as Sully did it. Not many people could. He was a tremendous spokesman for pilots. It could have been worse. Could have had it happen to a guy like me, and I was the face of the airline pilots. So anyway, thanks, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. Father Time is out. Thanks for all the support.